Hello and welcome back to another episode of Off the Backboard. I'm your host, Gibson Lowenberg, as well as the other host, Caleb.
Hello, nice to be back. I think we have some pretty big news in your realm of the NBA
Yeah,
today.
yeah, my little Wizards corner. Trae Young is officially a Washington Wizard, something that I went over just the other day when it was first
hmm
announced that they were working towards a trade. Um, I've got a lot of thoughts on that, but first I'll ask Caleb, what are your thoughts on that before I go on my little spiel?
I like it. Um, I definitely still have questions about it, at least in the long term. Like you mentioned before we started recording, the Wizards believe Trey is their long term solution at point guard. I do wonder about that. We know he's about as ball dominant of a guard as you can get. He hasn't been an all star in a little while, so I'm happy they didn't have to give up trade assets or anything really major to get him. But I am curious. I want to see how the defense for Washington looks. Realistically, I think this Atlanta Hawks team this year, this like composition of it, was the best possible roster you could put around Trae Young with Nikhil Alexander Walker, Dyson Daniels, some good centers. You had Jalen Johnson as a really great other scorer. Um, and it looked bad. Like, not just iffy, it looked bad when Trae Young was there. And that does have me concerned that he's such a negative on defense that I don't know if the Wizards are actually prepared to fix all of that. They could be. I don't watch every Wizards game. They could be, but I just believe that we've never seen a more Trae Young constructed roster, and it didn't work. So that's my concern, but I am excited to see it. I think he's going to add a lot more excitement to the Wizards. They haven't had like this headline, marquee star since Bradley Beal and also like the John Wall era. So I'm excited for the Wizards. Just have some reservations, which is kind of how I always am, unless you're getting like, you know, a 28-year-old LeBron James. I'm going to have some reservations.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. But one thing that does give me optimism is the Wizards have Bilal Coulibaly, who
Yeah.
is statistically one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. And he was up there with Dyson Daniels last year.
He
He's
was.
up there again. He's one of the better perimeter defenders you can get in general. And on top of that, they've got Alex Sarr, who leads the league in blocks. He is, I think, pretty easily the best center Trae Young has played with up to this point in his
hmm
career. Um, Sarr's stats are also going to get better having an actual point guard to pass him the ball versus for most of the season they were starting CJ McCollum. And then they've got other great defenders as well: Keyshawn George, Will Riley, Jameer Watkins. I think this situation that Trae Young's going into is actually better for him and his style of play, and specifically covering up the defense
Okay.
because they're not a lot bulkier, but a big issue with Atlanta was they were really, really thin.
Yeah, that's
So they
fair.
were they were really good at blocking shots and guarding guys on the perimeter. But the second you ran into like a Gobert who can just get in, excuse me,
You're all good.
get in the post and like back you down a little bit. And I'm not saying Gobert's the best post player in the world, but
I
like the
get what you
second
mean.
you ran into a bigger player and a stronger player, they had issues. Washington still has those issues. They're one of the lighter teams in the league as well. They're not as thin as Atlanta was.
hmm
So I think that situation's a little bit better. And I do think that aside from Jalen Johnson, I think the talent in Washington's a little bit better. I may be a little bit
hmm
biased, but you've got Trey Johnson.
I like Sar with Trey Young a
Yeah,
lot, by the way. Sorry to
Alex
interrupt, but
Sarr.
I love that combo.
Alex Sarr is a match made in heaven for Trey Young. You
hmm
cannot find a better player to match with Trey Young specifically than Alex
On
Sarr.
offense, yeah.
And on either side of the ball, Alex
hmm
Sarr is defending more shots than anybody else in the NBA, and it's not close.
Yeah.
He has he's just shy of Rudy Gobert in points saved, despite allowing like 10% higher field goal percentage at the rim, because
Yeah.
he is defending that many more shots.
Would that amount of shots going to one player bring concern about, like, he's going to have to defend a lot more if suddenly Trae Young's trying to lock someone up.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I don't know.
my hope would be that Corey Kispert's minutes are replaced with Justin Champagny,
Mm-hmm. Champagne's
who
good.
is a good defender.
Mm-hmm.
You replace those Kispert minutes with Champagny minutes, and all of a sudden you've got significantly better defense.
Okay. Okay.
And then Trae Young is going to be replacing the CJ McCollum minutes, and CJ McCollum wasn't really a lockdown defender either.
No, not anymore. He used to be a lot better.
The fit, again, like you said, it's not perfect. I don't necessarily think he's going to be great for Keyshawn George. I think he may hurt Keyshawn George's development a little bit more than I'd like. And I think that heliocentric offense can only get so far. But I think if he can learn to play off the ball and at least put in some effort on defense, which are two major points that Brian Keefe has made for everybody that's come through. I've noticed a few guys got a lot better off the ball than once they got to Washington during Keefe's tenure than they were before. And he's punishing guys for not playing in the system. Excuse me.
You okay?
But I think if Trae Young can learn to play off the ball and move off the ball more like Steph Curry, and really watch some Steph Curry film. And I know I've referenced this with Young before, but if he can learn to move off the ball a little bit better, cut with the purpose, he can regain that all-star form while also making the rest of the team so much better, especially guys like Trey Johnson, who already have a ton of gravity, Keyshawn George, who shoots, I think, 50% on catch-and-shoot threes, Alex Sarr, who's a massive lob threat that is constantly left not getting lobs when he's wide open. Those guys are going to improve so much in those specific areas. And then if he can allow Keyshawn George to still be a ball handler, Trey Johnson to be a ball handler, Alex Sarr to get post-up opportunities, he can elevate the level of this team on offense so much that the trade is an absolute steal if it works out.
Yeah. On the Atlanta side, I do actually like it for them too. I'll be honest. And it's not just the financial stuff. I think CJ McCollum, while he's not a great defender, I think he might be a better fit next to Dyson Daniels just for the sake of he is known to be able to play off ball, but he's still a good playmaker too. And I think it'd be nice to see Dyson Daniels, right? Like the Hawks are not going to look at CJ McCollum as a long-term fit. He's probably out of there after this season. But letting him kind of teach Dyson Daniels a little bit, I'd like to see Dyson Daniels become a truly great point guard, not just this kind of off guard who's really good on defense with kind of a shaky offense and like promise and like potential to be a good shooter. I don't know if there really is potential for him to be a great shooter. He might become sort of average. I don't know at this point. But I'd like to see Dyson Daniels be able to orchestrate and run an offense. And we saw that with CJ McCollum. He started off behind Damian Lillard. He was not running the offense, only in spot minutes when Lillard was resting. He leaves, he goes to the Pelicans. He becomes a true point guard, right? He learns that, he goes through those growing pains, even though it was later in his career. And I would really like to see him show that to Dyson Daniels, because Dyson Daniels has so much potential. I'm a really big fan of Dyson Daniels. I actually think the Atlanta Hawks got better in this trade because you get a good shooter in Kispert. So you can pair him with Reece Shea, and both of them need to figure out a little bit more on defense. I don't know if Kispert will. He's an older player at this point. But they're going to have so much financial flexibility. Now you have Porzingis and McCollum off the books this summer if you want them to be.
Yeah,
or you can re-sign
I think
McCollum
two max
cheap.
spots there.
Two near max. McCollum I think is making $33 million this year. Kristaps,
yeah, he's making
40.
just over 30.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to what the Hawks can do next summer with this trade. And my last piece for like the Wizards side, I think, is we talked about this like triad, this like triangle of like the triforce of troublesome point guards that no one wanted to trade for and all had negative trade value. And you could definitely argue from an Atlanta Hawks fan perspective, this is negative trade value.
Yeah.
The Hawks did the same thing. Sorry for a quick tangent on, but the Hawks did the same thing with Trae Young that they did with John Collins. For 3-4 years, they were on the trade market. Everyone knew it was open for discussion, but they wanted to hold out for that perfect trade because God forbid you don't win a trade, right? You don't just steal every young asset and trade pick from a team. And then they get almost nothing in return because it just becomes untenable to keep them. Hawks, I do not think have had great trade management. Their asset management has been very lackluster to me. I think even just bringing in Kristaps Porzingis this summer at all is probably bad management because we're seeing what's turned out, right? Like he just can't stay healthy. I don't know if he's in the NBA after this season, and that's not aid on him. It's just Potts is a very real problem. Um, of that triangle, right? You have John Morant, LaMelo Ball, and Trae Young. Trae Young's the first to get moved. In my perspective, I think Trae Young is the second best option out of those three. If I wanted to shoot for the best one as the Wizards, I probably would have looked at LaMelo Ball because the reports on him were that he's great. He just doesn't care because he's in Charlotte and they suck.
Yeah.
And now Con Knipple, it's his team. I mean, no, LaMelo is probably on the way out eventually. Even though they look really good together on offense, it's a whole mess anyway. Still,
Yeah.
I personally would, if I had my pick of the three, I want LaMelo. He's got size. He's taller, better rebounder. If he ever tries on defense, he could actually be pretty solid. John Morant, in my mind, is just I couldn't care. I wouldn't trade anything for John Morant, but I like the
My main issue, and I think this is I think this is what was probably going on in their minds, is Washington also cares about character as well.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to that, and you mentioned that little triad there, Trae Young has far and away the least off the court issues.
Yes, that's fair. Yeah.
LaMelo Ball has his entire family, which is a media nightmare at times.
Yeah.
LaMelo Ball's
down,
had
thankfully.
several issues with speeding and just
Mm-hmm.
lots of issues. Granted, the entire Charlotte roster for most of his career has had plenty of off-court issues.
Yeah.
Looking at Miles Bridges, but but he's if he doesn't care, will he care on the Wizards, which a lot of people still perceive as a team that isn't really good, but that's not how the players are perceiving them right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've had several players try and force their way to Washington over the last 2 years, but that's aside the point. If even if they got LaMelo, is LaMelo one going to be able to play? Because he's the least available of just about any player in the league outside of maybe Zion. Mm. And then 2, is he going to be able to clean up his off-court issues? And then 3, when he does play, is he going to care? Is he going to put in the effort on defense that they're going to want to see? Is he going to be willing to share the ball and play off ball for the other guys? I think Trae Young was probably the safest bet on all 3 of those points because, again, of the 3 guys, he's played the most. He has played the most games, but even over the last 2 years, he's been available, and that's something you can't say about John Morant or LaMelo Ball. And he doesn't have off the court issues. Another thing you can't really say about LaMelo Ball or John Morant. And so I think those 2 things really played a big part in what Washington was thinking. And the rest of the stuff on the court remains to be seen with Trae Young. New system, we'll have to see how he adjusts.
Yeah, it's definitely been a down year for Trae. When he's played, last year was good, but not as amazing as he's been. I do think a change in scenery is going to be good for him. Hopefully he learns how to play off ball a little bit. That was the plan when they brought in DeJounte Murray, was let him play off ball. Dyson Daniels was supposed to let Trae Young play off ball more.
Yeah. He played in a playing game.
We've seen John Morant and see Trae Young in those situations, and I would like to see what LaMelo Ball looks like.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. In this situation, Trae Young probably is the best bet for the Wizards context.
Yeah.
I'll be excited to see how it pans out. I'm going to be checking out, I got to see whenever his first game as a Wizard is. I'm going to have to watch that.
I just want to know what number he's going to wear.
I was wondering that, but
because I think 11's retired for Elvin Hayes.
I don't know. I mean, Kyrie Irving, he always wanted 11 with the Cavs, but that was retired for Ilgauskas, so he went with
Yeah.
2. Maybe he'll do the same thing, 1 plus 1. But that's John Wall's number, so
Yeah, they're not giving away John Wall's number.
12, just plus 1. He's better than he was. We're 22. He's double the player he used to be.
Yeah, but I think Middleton's wearing 22 right now.
He can change it. No one even remembers
Yeah.
Middleton's
Oh, well.
in the league anymore. I love Middleton, big fan of his.
He's gonna hit the buyout market. He's gonna be a really interesting guy on the buyout market. But moving forward for the Wizards, I don't know. There's still time before the trade deadline, and I think they might make another move because I don't think this. I think they've got the ability to make another move. They've got the incentive to make another move, but I don't know what it would be. I know they've expressed some interest. They've expressed varying levels of interest in Jonathan Kuminga, which he would be interesting, but I don't know how the money would work with that.
I don't know. In theory, I like it. It just starts to become a bit of a like. It becomes a bit of a conundrum of like, who's starting, who's off the bench, where are you getting like that feels almost like too much of a 2K roster. Where progression is very linear. You can have a guy on the bench and he's still going to progress to be a 90.
Yeah.
If we've seen Kuminga coming off the bench for the Warriors, he's not progressing that much. And now he's getting DMPs. Like this, Kuminga is a project player still, and I think he's a really, really great project player.
Yeah.
I don't love the fit with the Wizards because they're still trying to get George Johnson. Now you got Trae Young. You're trying to figure out if Koulibaly can be anything on offense. You got Alex Sarr. I mean, they already had a logjam, and they gave up Avdia to clear space for Koulibaly.
Yeah.
And they're already regretting that. I just feel like you'd be creating another logjam unless you're trading Koulibaly for Kuminga. And I don't think the Warriors want someone who can defend but not shoot or score at all. I mean, right now Koulibaly's a taller Isaac Okoro. So I'm not sure where the fit is there. I do think they should try to make another trade.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure what the best option is. I'm really a believer in you want a young core, but you need some veterans around them.
Yeah.
And so I like Middleton there. I don't know. I'd be fine if they didn't make another trade.
Yeah, I'd be fine if they sat put. But the bigger thing, and this is something I've seen like 8 times now on Twitter over the last couple hours, that the biggest winner of the trade is the New York Knicks because the Knicks get the Wizards pick if it falls out of the top 8. The biggest response to that is, yeah, the Wizards know that too.
Yeah.
Everybody
Suddenly
knows.
Trae Young's injured.
Yeah.
Again.
Trae Young is gonna get hurt. Alex Sarr is gonna get hurt for a little while. Keyshawn George has been hurt. I don't know if you saw the injury report today, but pretty much the entire starting lineup outside of Alex Sarr was hurt today. Against the Sixers. Granted, it was the second night of a back-to-back. But I'd expect that a lot of guys start racking up some DNPs as the season goes on, because I think the Wizards are fully aware that they can't really rise too much in the standings, and they have the ability to go one spot up and still have their pick guaranteed to stay with them.
Yeah.
But they have like Brooklyn still above them. They've got some really bad teams that are going to bottom out, that are still that they need to stay below.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to sit a lot of guys, and then next year will be the real opportunity to see how this team plays together. I think Keefe is going to experiment with some rotations where basically Justin Champagnie falls out of the rotation again because he only makes $2 million a year. That's how they started the season, is Justin Champagnie basically didn't play for the first 23 games. And they started like 3-20.
Yeah. We'll see with it. I think teams like Washington, I think they made a good move here because they did something very similar to what Toronto did last year in the Brandon Ingram trade. They traded him knowing that he was going to be injured the rest of the year. In fact, he probably could have played, but they just sat him. I think the Wizards are doing something very similar where you're doing your free agency period in season through trades, right? Like this is the Wizards 2026 free agency. They got their
$46 million in cap
Well,
space.
I just mean like, right, like kind of like the Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell would not have signed there if he wasn't traded there first.
Yeah.
I don't think, and this is no disrespect to DC, it's just the reality is they're not Boston, they're not New York, they're not Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
Until you have like the star of the NBA, people probably will not sign there if you're not one of those cities. Or
Yeah.
like a Miami. But even Miami rarely gets people really to sign there, right? Like it's so hard to get those free agents. Free agents barely ever become available anymore. Trades are free agency a lot of the times. So I think Washington made a good choice. I think this is the best star they could have gotten without surrendering everything. I mean, obviously, maybe they could have tried to pry Giannis away with all the picks they had, but why do it? Like, I like this move for them. Uh, just comes down to how will it pan out long term? Will they even keep Trae Young long term, or is that just lip service? So that
Yeah.
way Trae Young's happy to be there for now. We'll see. I mean, we have time to figure it out. We all know he's going to be there next year because he's not going to let go of that player option.
Yeah,
in
that
the summer,
$49 million option.
yeah.
I saw some people being like, well, if he picks it up, yeah, really? Like, yeah, he's going to pick it up.
Yeah, if. Okay. Yeah, win.
Yeah,
he already has effectively. He's already picked it up.
Yeah, realistically, he's worth like, what, $25 million on the open market right now? Maybe a little bit more than that.
I don't know. I really wonder how much a player like Trae Young will make on the open market going forward.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what he's concerned about long term.
Getting close to 30. I don't know.
Yeah. But no, like looking at Washington's current situation, they've got $46 million in cap space. They've got a really strong young core with Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, Bilal Coulibaly, Bub Carrington, Trey Johnson, Will Riley, Jameer Watkins. I can keep going. They've got several really strong role players on the roster. Justin Champagnie, Marvin Bagley's had a great season. Like they've got a really good foundation. They now have 4-time All-Star and Trae Young. They have 10 tradable first-round picks. They can trade 10 first-round picks, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And then they've got 15 second-round picks, $46 million in cap space this offseason, with Chris Middleton being really the only guy that's on an expiring deal. And you're like, okay, yeah, it's probably fine to let him go. And everybody else is still under contract next year. And assuming Trae Young picks up his player contract, which he will, that's an incredible spot to be.
Yeah, I like the potential of, overpay for some really good veteran role players in the summer. Don't go out and try to spend all 46 on some big star. It's going to take away from Alex Sarr, take away from George. Go get like some really good. Get a great backup center for Sarr, who's going to teach him more of the ropes. Get a great backup power forward. Just try to build this veteran core so that way if Sarr really does become an all-star level player next year and Trae Young gets back to form and Trey Johnson stays the flamethrower that he is, you could actually contend for a top 6 seed in the East. I obviously injuries, I don't know if they'd be a number 1 or whatever, but like skip the play-in. Don't become a play-in team. Don't join Atlanta and Miami and who's the third team that's always in there with them? I don't know. Yeah, Chicago. Don't join them in NBA.
Orlando's becoming that fourth team too. They've been in there a lot too.
They should be so much better this year, but that's we could do a whole hour on Orlando. We almost did a whole hour on Paolo Banchero himself. But we'll see. I want to see the Wizards at full strength, and I want to see them with really great role players behind this young cast and Trae Young.
Yeah, I'd like to see them get like a stockier backup big. I know Kevon Looney will probably hit free agency. Ivis Missy might be a good option in a trade. Could be really cheap as well. Steven Adams, if they could pry him away from Houston, which is not happening, but would be wonderful.
There are 29 teams in the NBA who want to take Steven Adams from Houston.
If they could get Steven Adams behind Alex Sarr, that would be like the dream scenario for like a veteran to teach Alex Sarr like the ropes.
Yeah, personally, I can't think of a team that wouldn't want the Keanu Reeves of the NBA on their team. An in real life pacifist who can whoop your what anytime he wants.
Yeah,
like, who would it? Also, he looks like Keanu a little bit, like if he played basketball. So big Steven Adams guy. Sorry, I could talk too much about Steven Adams. I love watching him play basketball.
But yeah, moving on from the Wizards talks that we've been
Yeah,
on for about
25
25
minutes.
minutes.
It's okay. First big star trade of the year.
Yeah, we'll kick off trade. It'll kick off the trade season. But speaking of trade season, Michael Porter Jr. is still
Mm-hmm.
one of the hottest names on the market, with tons of teams expressing interest. I'm not remembering the exact teams that are interested in him right now, but he's expected to get a ton of value for Brooklyn. What do you think roughly is going to be the value Brooklyn gets in return
I
for
think Michael
Porter?
Porter Jr., he's on the upswing right now, right? He's on the upswing of his value. I watch him play. He still is a play finisher. He is not passing other people. So, like, it is just, you are getting, like, like, I saw Rusty Buckets. He compared him to a taller J.R. Smith, right? He's not a playmaker, but he's tough on defense. He will shoot from anywhere, and he has the confidence he's going to make it. I really like the idea of a framework of Kuminga for Porter Jr. I know the Warriors could use him. I think he really fits well. You're almost getting like a true Klay Thompson replacement, not a better version, but a replacement. I like it. I think it works. It fits. It makes sense. They still want to have a center, so they better figure that out. But I really like Porter to the Warriors, and I think something like Kuminga and some salary filler is the low end of his value, getting a young potential star for Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You could probably expect some picks too, but we've seen picks are pretty hard to get right now.
Would you expect Draymond Green to be included in that? Because that's the I think that's the only
I
way
know.
that contract situation would work. Because MPJ is making what, almost 40 million. He's making
Yeah,
he's
I
making a
think he
lot
is.
of money
Yeah, it's like 38,
this season.
39. I would have said yes until the Steph Curry quote about how he wished Klay Thompson never left, about
Yeah,
how he wanted them all to retire together. That is a sticking point. The finances. Really, I like in theory MPJ for Kaminga, but yeah, you're right. I don't know. I think that's the hardest part for Porter Jr. is he's got so much value as a scorer, defender, rebounder, but that money he's just so overpaid. I mean,
yeah,
I don't care how many points he's scoring in a game right now. He's on the Brooklyn Nets, okay? Like the last great player to play there was like, okay, outside of Kevin Durant and Irving, I almost said something really stupid, but I was about to say like the last like breakout guy was Mikal Bridges. Was what I was trying to say. Like last person who went there was like, wow, look how great they are now. They weren't this good before. It was Mikal Bridges, and like they got a haul for him. I just don't think they can get that with Porter Jr. because of his contract size. So I don't know. Um, Other teams that could go for him, in theory, Detroit.
yeah. I've seen Detroit thrown in there, but I don't know if they're willing to.
The culture.
Yeah, because they're a big. They're a big share the rock.
So
Everybody
yeah,
eats.
and also Steve Kerr. I don't know if Steve Kerr would like Michael Porter Jr. And
No.
I'm not even talking about on the court culture. I'm talking get the microphone away from him. I know I'm saying that as just another random guy on a podcast right now, but like,
They also have Draymond
just
Green on the Warriors.
could Draymond Green pull a quick training session with Jordan Poole on Michael Porter Jr. and knock a little bit of sense into him? You think? Could he get him right? Because that is the biggest thing. Even more than the money, whatever team takes on Porter Jr. is going to have to get him right. Like the Milwaukee Bucks got the other Porter Jr. right, Kevin Porter Jr. He had some problems with his temper and some legal trouble. He's panning out pretty well with Milwaukee right now. Can someone fix Michael Porter Jr.? That's the big question. Maybe even more than the money part. Can you get him to be not so selfish on the court? Can you get him to be more positive for the locker room? Because I don't think the way he kind of talks right now would be positive, especially not to any NBA player who's married. They're going to get pissed off. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I think the Bucks are really best case scenario for him.
You like the Bucks? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do like his fit with the Bucks. I like his fit next to Giannis and Rollins.
So
And I
two
think
Porter Juniors on the same team.
yes, they'll have to have like the first initial on the back of the jersey.
Yeah, they'd be MK, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, but I think best case scenario for really the Bucks and Michael Porter Jr. is that connection because
like
currently the Bucks are trying to go all in star hunting to try and keep Giannis happy. And bringing home Zach LaVine isn't going to keep Giannis happy long term.
Well, Michael Porter Jr.?
That's gonna shorten the window, if anything, and then they're gonna run into a wall real fast, and then it's going to force a split a lot sooner.
If the Bucks could keep Kevin Porter Jr. and Ryan Rollins and Miles Turner in that trade, if it's effectively Bobby Portis and Kyle Kuzma and some picks or something, I like it.
I would build it around Portis, Kuzma, Gary Trent Jr., and draft capital. That's how I would.
Yeah, they don't have much draft capital, though. That's the real issue they're going to run into.
Yeah.
If they can convince Brooklyn to do it, sure. I think Brooklyn's expecting, like, close to a Mikal Bridges package. Just because he's even better offensively than Bridges was.
But I don't think they're going to get that, is the thing.
They aren't, so he might end up there. It might be a off-season thing. I would not be shocked.
Yeah, but they desperately need to start losing some games because they're still, despite the fact that Washington has the exact same record as OKC over their last 12, 13 games.
Mm-hmm.
Washington's still 2 games ahead of Brooklyn in the tank rankings. Like that's something they need to start losing some games. Granted, they've got the rest of the season to do it, and we're not even halfway through the season yet. But they've won a lot more than I think they really wanted to, and
Don't let Adam Silver hear you saying that.
Huh?
Don't let Adam Silver hear you saying that teams should be losing games. He's going to change how the lottery works, so that way the big market teams, so that way it's fair. That way it's fair to the small market teams. And the Dallas Mavericks did not get Cooper flagged because of rigging. And Victor Wembanyama went to the Spurs because of fairness. And he's going to make it more fair in every way that hurts Washington.
Even though
keep saying that.
Even though a vast majority of people don't understand how the lottery system works, they need to televise. They need to televise the ping pong balls. Because otherwise, nobody's ever going to believe that's not rigged.
I totally know that it's not rigged, but I 100% am having trouble believing it anymore. Everyone for months was saying Victor Wembanyama to the Spurs is such a perfect match because they had, they had Robinson, or was it Robertson? Oh gosh, I'm an idiot. And then they go right into Duncan, and then now you get Victor. And they got him. And then it was Dallas trades Luka in the worst trade in NBA history. Gets Cooper flag. And Nico Harrison says, now they see the vision. What vision? How'd you know you were getting him? So it was.
I think Nico Harrison just says shit.
Oh yeah, he just says. Well, not anymore. He's not in the NBA. He's not saying anything in press conferences.
Well, I mean, when he was given that pitch, that Nike pitch to Steph Curry, he called him Seth, and he had slides that said Kevin Durant.
Oh, he's such a good example of failing upwards. I wish I
have
could
no
do
idea.
that.
I have no idea how he lasted so long with both with Nike and with the Mavs. He is, because he let Brunson walk. He traded Porzingis for nothing. He traded Luka for essentially nothing comparatively.
So anyway, I mean, trade value, Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Honestly, how does the Trae Young trade affect Anthony Davis's trade value? Atlanta still wants him.
Yeah, that gives them the ability to trade for Anthony Davis and then still go get a max slot in the offseason if they're smart with it.
Is it Porzingis and Risa straight up for Davis?
Yeah, I could see that happening. They may need to include that Cleveland pick we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
They may need to include that, but really, I don't see too much more than that being asked on either side.
Or I don't remember exactly how the rerouting works. However, the trade's not official, right? Ink isn't on paper yet for this Trae Young trade. It's possible.
No, not yet. No.
It's possible that it could expand. Let's say Atlanta wants Anthony Davis. Does it become a 3-4 team trade? CJ McCollum's going to Dallas as that point guard, that stopgap until Kyrie's healthy, and then move him to the 2 once Kyrie is healthy.
Yeah.
We've seen CJ next to a guard like Kyrie before, and Dave, right? It could work, and we know Kyrie's good playing off ball. We saw with Luka, and then Anthony Davis. It's Risa CJ to Dallas, Anthony Davis to Atlanta, and everything else pretty much stays the same.
Porzingis to some fourth team that is just
Yeah.
looking for draft capital.
Pretty much, yeah. You throw a few picks over to, can't remember what teams really have.
The only teams with
Indiana?
the only teams with cap space right now are Detroit, who's not interested in eating cap
Mhm.
space, and Washington, who's already in the deal.
I thought Indiana has some cap space. Oh, wait, no, they're just under the luxury tax. There
Yeah,
could be a world where it's
'cause-
Indiana, and they sign Porzingis to a cheap contract in the summer.
yeah,
Sorry,
but what would
excuse
they
me.
give up? Mathurin?
I mean, yeah, Mathurin would make sense if he's
But
going to
Mathurin
Atlanta.
doesn't make enough money, I don't think.
No, I mean, but if you're also including Obi Toppin's about 18 million. Mathurin's like what, 9 million, or maybe
I
a
don't
little
know
bit
if I would
more.
gut the bench to get Porzingis if I'm Indiana. I think I would keep it together,
Yeah.
maybe flip Mathurin for like a Nick Claxton,
Mm-hmm.
and then do kind of a team rebounding thing like they did last year. But it
Yeah.
was like I
I'm
don't
just saying
know
if you can get Porzingis cheap enough and then sign him to something that's like, hey, like you're probably only playing 20 games a year. We just want you healthy for the playoffs. You're getting like 15 million. Take it or leave it. You know, you can.
yeah.
I don't
But
know. I don't.
they'd have to gut the
Porzingis
bench
might be
to
retiring. I don't know.
they'd have to gut the bench to match that contract because he's making 30 million.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I don't know where Porzingis would go. Maybe he just stays in Atlanta and then they use that to get their max slot in the summer. It's Anthony Davis
Yeah.
comes in and that's essentially their free agency is getting Anthony
Yeah.
Davis
And
and
then
they
they'd
go
still
get some
have a
role
ton
players.
of money to go spend to get whoever they want in just about whoever they want in free agency.
Yeah.
Because then you'd have they'd probably target a guard, but you'd have a front court of Jalen Johnson and Anthony Davis. You'd have Nikhil Alexander-Walker probably playing at the three with Dyson Daniels at the two. You go get a point guard, or you go get a shooting guard and have Dyson Daniels play the one. You have $30 million to go get whoever the heck you want to really fill out that starting five.
I think one of the most exciting point guards we're going to see on the trade market this year outside of Trae Young, and I know he's not a free agent for a little while, but is Kobe White. I mentioned this before we started when we were talking about trade value. Now we're looking at Anthony Davis. I'd like to go to someone who has high trade value, and I think Kobe White, his trade value probably shot up really high after this Trae Young trade. Because the reason Trae Young didn't bring picks back in return is probably the price tag. He's expensive, and you're going to pay him $49 million a year from now. Kobe White's $12 million. I still want to see Minnesota get Kobe White, but I think it just became a little bit harder because now you're not getting him for like half price or anything. You're going to have to give up some picks, and Minnesota doesn't really have them.
No. Yeah, I agree. I think Kobe White is probably one of the better guards left on the market. Probably one of the more exciting for a contender to look at. And Minnesota has been linked to Kobe White as well.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody else is really on the trade market other than John Morant, LaMelo Ball, but they might honestly just be flipped for each other at this point. Or maybe
if they even get traded.
Maybe the Hornets even sit there and be like, you know what? We're undefeated when our starting lineup all plays. We're going to try it out. We're going to give them a full season together.
Yeah, there's a really good chance LaMelo doesn't get traded or Ja. I just don't think anyone's really that enticed by them. I'm probably the only one who looks at LaMelo and sees positive at this point. Kobe White, though, he's such a good fit for Minnesota. He can play off ball too, and you can't bring someone in that's going to take away the spotlight from Edwards because you already have Julius Randle, you have McDaniels, and Gobert. You know, you have 4 players in your starting 5 who need to be your main scorers. You need to bring in a facilitator. That's why Mike Conley was so great last year, but he just hit the age wall really fast.
Yeah.
If Chris Paul still looked good, I would say Chris Paul is perfect for them. It's just another revolving door of veteran point guards, but he hit the age wall. So Minnesota's that tough spot. I like Kobe White. I think he has the highest trade value he's ever had in his career right now. And I think this is a time that Chicago should sell on him because they definitely don't see him as more valuable than Josh Giddey. So if you're choosing Giddey over Kobe White, I think you should pull that trigger. They could
probably get Terrence Shannon Jr. as well out of that deal.
You probably could. And maybe it's Shannon Jr., Jalen Clark looks good from Minnesota. Maybe it's DiVincenzo. Shannon Jr. and Jalen Clark, and those two kind of serve as your pseudo first round picks. In return, Chicago's getting bigger wings. They don't really have big, tall wings with some potential right now, and Shannon and Clark are those. You don't
Yeah.
have to hope that a first round pick ends up valuable. You know these guys have some level of value.
Yeah. And then kind of changing tune. What is going on with the Oklahoma City Thunder over the last month or so? They started off best record in they had the best start in NBA history, and since then they have been barely able to keep above 500. I think they were at 500 until today. And
Yeah. I can't remember what their injury list is looking like right now. Um, Let me see. Did Isaiah Hartenstein come back yet? I know he was out for a while, but what are your thoughts? I'm not out on OKC. Okay, well Caruso and Hartenstein are both out, so that's pretty
yeah,
tough. But I
I
can't
think
make up for all of this.
I think they're still pretty clear cut the best team in the Western Conference as of right now. I just think a big part they got a lot of hype and got put into conversations they shouldn't have been, because through the first 23 games, 25 games or so, they had the best record in NBA history, but they were also playing far and away the worst schedule in NBA history through that point.
Yeah.
They didn't play any team. They played, I think, two teams above 500 in that entire stretch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not sustainable long term. I think they kind of got into that mindset of, oh, everybody's going to be this easy, because they were only playing teams that weren't really all that good. And then they kind of coast, and then they realize, oh shoot, these are really, really good teams, and they're trying 100% against us. And they kind of had to fight their own jet lag there. And I think this is kind of a wake-up call for them.
And I think looking at SGA specifically, right, you look at a team struggling, you're going to look at the main star. And you can look at other factors, but it is still, you have to look at how they're playing. Last season, I was really hesitant to call SGA a foul baiter in any way. I think it was because, he drove to the rim every play, just about. Like, he wasn't doing what we saw from, like, James Harden. I think ever since James Harden's, MVP season, where he really did foul bait every single opportunity, and that kind of spread to the early days of Trae Young, and other players, like even, earlier days of Luka and still somewhat today. That term just becomes so overused. Anyone who's great and gets fouls is a foul baiter. Like, people said Giannis was a foul baiter for a bit. I'm sorry, he's like a bulldozer. Of course you're gonna foul him to stop to get to the rim. When it comes to SGA though, I think this season it has looked worse. The foul baiting's been frustrating to watch. You can tell he's looking at refs to bail him out, and I don't think it's too much of a coincidence that he hasn't been getting as many calls lately. Ever since Chris Finch lost his mind at the referees about the foul calls, it seems like they're not bailing him out as much. Yeah. And I think that he's kind of suffering those consequences.
Yeah, his free throw rate has plummeted during those games, during that stretch of time since Chris Finch was ejected. And that's also when this streak happened, where the skids started, where they're just not winning. But his free throw rate is the worst it's been, I think, in his entire career during that stretch. So that is directly related to their lack of success. It's probably leading to SGA taking worse shots and kind of not getting the opportunities that he normally does.
Yeah, I think what really made SGA's rise to prominence so special was he could just get a good shot any play. No matter what he did, he was getting a good shot. Could part of the change be that NBA teams are now game planning to not let that happen? Absolutely. But it's so obvious now that he's looking for fouls. And it's very frustrating. I have no problem with star players looking for a foul, okay? Like, if you're up against bad defense or overly aggressive defense, that is on the verge of fouling, get the foul. Not for the free throws, but because of the foul trouble. Get that player out of the game, right? Like, there's such a good advantage to recognizing great players know when someone's about to foul. This happened all the way back to the 80s where everyone's convinced fouls didn't happen because Michael damn Jordan, okay? You realize someone's not playing good defense, you punish him for that. That's part of smart offense. But then there does come to a point where you have the James Harden-esque style of foul baiting, and SGA is starting to lean into that where it feels like that's his main motive. It's not just seeing a rip through and going for it. It's leaning into people and trying every shot to be fouled on it, kicking your leg out, pulling Lou Dort bullcrap. He's not as bad, but like, you get what I mean. He's just looking for these fouls, and I'll let you finish what you want to say about OKC because I wanted to move us into kind of my tangential thing about who I think deserves the praise Shea's getting for awards more than he deserves it. But go ahead. I don't want to take it up.
I think OKC's kind of got into a weird mental rut there where they're like, yeah, we're better than everybody else and it's not close. And they're kind of getting smacked for that mentality. And then also, like you said, like SGA is just not getting his foul calls anymore. Or they're not giving him a lot of the crappy ones that they were to start the season. I don't know if they had like a meeting with the refs, but it's obvious. And like you said, Alex Caruso's hurt. Their entire defensive identity is just hounding ball handlers. Losing Alex Caruso really sucks for that. But I think OKC still is the best team in the Western Conference, and I still have them as my favorite to leave the West as of now. Granted, that could change once playoff time comes around and we get more of an idea of what teams are going to look like in the playoffs. But as of right now, they're still my favorite to leave the West.
I have the personal rule for myself. I never choose the reigning champions as my favorites. I don't like to vote on repeats because I think it's more fun to see it otherwise. So my choice right now is Denver. I really like Denver. I like what they're doing, but realistically, I do think like just objectively, OKC has the best chances. But my pick is Denver. I like what they're doing. However, going back to SGA, and I'm not an SGA hater. I want that to be understood. I actually love SGA. This is why it's frustrating to me, is that I wish I was seeing the SGA that I first really enjoyed watching again. But this season, SGA is leading the way in MVP odds. Beforehand, he was really tied with Jokic until this recent injury to Jokic is going to take him out for possibly too many games with this stupid 65-game rule. And I'm sorry, if I had a media vote, it would not be going to SGA for number one. My top choice is Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics. And it really comes down to MVP, I think, as an award in total, in its essence, has lost a lot of the allure that it used to have. And I'm not just trying to play this like old head game right now. But what makes an MVP? It is most valuable, right? I think a lot of times right now in the NBA, we've seen so many repeat MVPs recently. It almost gets frustrating. It's like if you win one MVP, you're almost promised to get the next one. And that to me feels unnecessary. It feels boring. How often has it been we come into the season and we already are like, okay, these are the top 3 people we're going to talk about for MVP, and it never changes unless someone gets injured. I find that very frustrating. When Joel Embiid won his MVP, I remember listening to a podcast with JJ Redick, and he said before the season started, Joel Embiid is the MVP. That was the kind of discussion we were having before the season started. We decide the MVP before the season even begins. Meanwhile, we're seeing Jaylen Brown have a Russell Westbrook MVP type season. He's not averaging a triple-double. But what's happened is the best player on the team, the MVP candidate on the team, the one that everyone looked to and said that's the one that makes them a contender, is gone, right? In Kevin Durant's case, he left for the Warriors. In Brown's case, Tatum's gone for almost the whole season, if not the whole season. Jaylen Brown is having a better season than Jason Tatum has ever had in his career. Brown is having the greatest scoring season in Boston Celtics history. And look, I'm a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. We are not legally allowed to like the Boston Celtics. We have to hate them because they whoop our butts every year. We're always going to hold what they did to LeBron James's first stint in Cleveland against them, even though it was the Cleveland's front office fault for sucking at getting anyone good next to LeBron. But still, none of that changes the fact that Jaylen Brown is having the greatest season I have gotten the joy to watch from a player in so damn long. I'm enjoying watching him do this better than I enjoyed Russell Westbrook because he's proving everything wrong. We already knew how good Russell Westbrook was at getting triple doubles. And what Russell Westbrook was kind of stat padding at times and almost had a quadruple double some games in turnovers that season. Jaylen Brown had the narrative that he couldn't dribble with his left hand. He couldn't play make on his own. He was barely even a real star. It was all just because Tatum was, taking the defense's attention. Jaylen Brown is now building an argument of, am I better than Tatum? He has finals MVP for a reason. He's one of the best defenders you can find in the NBA. He's a great shooter, and now he can play make. What more do we want from Jaylen Brown before we say that's an MVP level player? There's a reason he's the finals MVP. This is his team. Tatum can come back, and I think it's become a 1A, 1B, and it might be a 1AA, 1AB. Like, they might be that close in how great they both are. The entire NBA should be terrified of the fact that Tatum isn't back yet. Because they're under the second apron, and they look this good without a real starting center. And they're going to bring Tatum back eventually. And everyone knows someone's going to end up that center.
Yeah.
That is my soapbox for the night.
I think if SGA gets hurt and misses some games and Jaylen Brown has like 5 to 10 more games played than SGA, and the Thunder don't really turn things back around and they kind of end up like second, third seed in the West, and Boston's able to hold on to that 2 seed that they had earlier today. I don't think they have anymore because I think they lost. But that's the Nuggets, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think if they can get that 2 seed, and OKC falls in the standings a little bit in the Western Conference, then I do think Jaylen Brown can steal it from SGA. But as of right now, I still think SGA is averaging he's averaging what, like 30. I think he's averaging 32, 6 and 3 or something, or 32, 6 and 5, something like that.
Now let's not use the word steal it from SGA. Let's use the correct term, which is be properly crowned the MVP over SGA.
But I think as of right now, it's still SGA's. It's SGA's award to lose, with Wemby not being eligible, or Wemby just shy of being ruled ineligible. Jokic going to be barely eligible, assuming he plays every game. There are a lot of guys.
I don't think Wemby will be eligible this year. He's already missed about 14 games.
He's aiming a January return, so he may be able to come back with just enough time, but he would have to play the rest of the season without sitting.
Yeah, and the Spurs have been very careful with his injuries. They don't want him to have the season he had last year. I mean, blood clots, you can't change that, right? But they're very careful with them. They don't want a Chet Holmgren broken hip kind of thing. So I don't know. I think we're going to see Wemby not win Depoy again, even when he should. I know last year my guy Mobley gets it over him because of it, but like, Wemby's not going to win awards because of this. No, I think it's going to be Chet Holmgren. Right now, he's the betting odds favorite.
But Gobert's an infinitely better defender than Chet Holmgren.
I think everyone's just tired of Gobert as the guy winning Depoy because he's such a boring pick. No one likes watching Gobert play defense, man. Even though he is pretty easily the best defensive player in the NBA right now. He's in second place right now with plus 350 odds according to Fox Sports. Chet Holmgren is first with a minus 140. And then Wemby's still 3 with a plus 1,000, but if he gets disqualified, he'll be out. And then 4th is Bam Adebayo. 5th, you have Amen Thompson. 6th is Scotty Barnes. 7th is Evan Mobley because he's looked really not that great this year. Still a great defender, but he's not like getting the stocks this year. Yeah. Cason Wallace, 3,500.
The guy leading the lead in blocks isn't even on there.
Nope. I don't think a bench player will ever win it. Draymond Green, but you do have a Pistons
Alex
player,
Sarr is in
which
first.
is Asar Thompson.
Alex Sarr's got it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
Jay
I thought
Huff.
Isaiah Stewart had it for a bit.
No, Jay Huff was leading there for a minute.
Oh, I thought Isaiah
Um,
Stewart had it. Or did he have he has a great
Isaiah
defensive
Stewart
stat.
has the lowest field goal percentage
My
allowed.
bad. Thank you. Thank you. But a Pistons player is there at the end of this list with Asar Thompson.
Yeah, Sar Thompson makes sense. No,
Yeah.
Alex Sarr is currently the steals leader. He's averaging 2.3
Okay.
steals per game.
Mm.
Granted, he had like a 7-game stretch where he had like 29 blocks or something like that in a 7-game stretch, which is insane. But
Man, we've had a lot of tangents today, haven't we? We've gone off track a lot.
yeah, but it's okay.
That's the world of the NBA, man. There's so many stats and storylines to follow.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff going on. We haven't even gone over the soap opera that's going on with Golden State right now.
We
Because
did a little bit, I mean, Kuminga's getting DMPs.
Draymond's saying stuff on his podcast again.
Oh, has he been?
Yeah, he's saying.
Oh,
He said something about Jonathan Kuminga. I didn't see exactly what it was.
come
But
on,
it's sitting there, and
Draymond.
I think he's trying to get them to not trade Kuminga, and then they're like, we're not going to trade Kuminga unless we really, really like the return we're getting. And it's like, okay, then you're going to sit on him for 2 years, and he's going to walk in free agency, and you're getting nothing. Like, congrats, you want an award for that?
Yeah, I don't.
That's
mean-
terrible management at this point. Like, at this point, the mismanagement of Jonathan Kuminga is going to get a 30 for 30 at some point.
Ever since, like, the GM who, like, built that dynasty has left, I have not liked the choices the Warriors made.
Yeah, Bob Myers was a really good GM.
He was.
Yeah,
He was.
I'm-
And now that
I'm
he's gone,
I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a job somewhere.
I don't think he
As-
wants it. I mean, he's a commentator. He gets to talk during the draft. Like, I think he's living. This is his retirement, man. Why
Fair.
would you want to have to be making all the phone calls? Just go watch the NBA and talk about it.
He's retiring into Stephen A's job.
Much better. But yeah, I don't know. Golden State's a rough spot. Pods looks horrible. I thought he was going to be a lot better. This is the team that drafted James Wiseman, by the way, number 2 overall.
Yeah,
I don't know why we're expecting them to be doing much better than this.
They did you see Jimmy Butler showed up with the Hello Kitty keychains on his hat?
Jimmy Butler is such a fun player until he decides he doesn't like his team anymore.
It's coming. It's coming.
It will.
It's
It
gonna
will.
be it's gonna be a really nasty blow up in Golden State too, and then you're gonna have Draymond Green being the guy being like, yeah, this guy sucks.
Jimmy Butler to Dallas in a trade that brings Klay Thompson home. The money's crazy, okay, but figure
Money
it out.
doesn't work, but
No, I'm not 1 for 1. Throw in every other bad contract Dallas has. Send Porzingis to
D-Lo.
Dallas, and then send Porzingis to Golden State along with Klay Thompson. Okay, we figured
Jimmy
out
Butler
the
and
trade.
Kuminga.
We figured it out.
But I think we're gonna end it off there. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know what you thought of the Trae Young trade down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
See ya. Have a good one. Bye.